Uzumaki has disappointed me. Every season there are anime that start off so strong, that are so awe-inspiring, everyone starts talking about it. People start thinking, this anime is going to be amazing, the production is already amazing, the story is captivating, the concept seems interesting, you think there's no way this can fall off. Then it does, again and again. And I already hear you saying,
But Uzumaki only has 2 episodes out, you should wait until it fully releases.
and usually you'd be right, but Uzumaki is a 4-episode anime and it only took till episode 2 for it to show signs of a crumbling production. And while the drop in quality isn't necessarily unbearable, we still have a major issue, and I'll explain why in a minute. Uzumaki is an anime that is currently airing, and it had such a cool, avant-garde atmosphere. Mal's words, not mine. The animation was unique, it was stylistically beautiful, and it captured Junji Ito's essence. It had the same unnerving tone that really captivated the audience in the manga. Episode 1 really did shock the audience. So many people were skeptical of this manga being adapted well. No one thought you could capture the essence of Junji Ito's art in anime. I mean, just look how the Junji Ito collection turned out. So when the first episode genuinely did the impossible, I was like, cool, the adaptation is going to be pretty damn good. Then episode 2 hit. And look, all things considered, it's not that bad, but when you're adapting such a beloved mangaka's work, and you make it seem like you're gonna do it justice, then just pull the plug, I'm gonna have issues with it. Some scenes in episode 2 are still decent, but there are blaring issues left and right. Not to mention that the entire episode lost that Junji Ito charm that it managed to capture just a week ago. This is a plague that seems to have cursed Junji Ito fans. Actually no, this is a plague that is starting to become more common with many anime. We always get such a damn good first episode or first season, then instantly get an unreasonable drop in quality. It's such a terrible experience. And logically I can understand why this happens. Obviously, studios want to make a good first impression, they want to hook people in and hope that's enough to carry them through, but this really has started to get old. The Promised Neverland Season 1 left fans thinking this was going to be a cult classic in the future. Episode 1 had such a strong lasting impact, and the rest of the season continued to provide quality anime. But Season 2 ruined every possible chance of people looking back at the Promised Neverland's anime favorably ever again. And with Uzumaki, the same can be said, where the first episode left a strong impression, but instead of one season of a good adaptation, it took one episode to get poor line art, poor animation, and poor pacing. Maybe it'll get better with episode 3 and 4, but I really doubt it will, and I have plenty of proof to show. With Uzumaki, there seems to be some weird things happening with the production behind the scenes, because seemingly the first episode was done by Fugaku. No, not this one. And the second was done by Akatsuki. Again, not these guys. Originally in 2019, the anime was announced to be directed by Hiroshi Nagahama, animated by Studio Drive, and co-produced by IG USA and Adult Swim. Then later in 2023 is a co-production between Drive and Akatsuki. And like I said, for some reason, Fugaku seems to have been the ones to animate episode 1 according to the credits, in which Drive and Akatsuki were not mentioned. A lot of people are noticing that it seems episode 1 was completely redone since the teasers, and these aren't just revisions and fixes, these are scenes where it's quite obviously redone from scratch, which alongside the drops in quality leads some people to believe that they were failing to meet quality standards, which then probably led to Nami and Production IG to dump a bunch of money into redoing the first episode. That way they could create a better first impression when it finally aired, which would check out logically because in that sense they wouldn't lose an absurd amount of money on the entire project just for it to be deemed a failure. And if we run with this logic, it would line up with the unrecognizable second episode where Akatsuki and Drive are both actually credited. And it's so frustrating seeing things like this when they've already had multiple delays. The anime was originally meant to come out in 2020, then pushed back to 2021, then again to 2022, then later delayed indefinitely at the request of the production staff. The same production staff that said they would be delaying the anime in order to replicate the quality and intricate designs of Junji Ito's work. And apparently they didn't want to compromise on quality. Well yeah, that definitely happened. And crazy enough, once again in 2023 it was stated that it would premiere later that year, and that didn't happen. So when we finally got the anime in 2024, you would expect 5 years is at least enough to do more than one episode justice. And yet so far it seems like they spent 4.5 years working on the first episode and half a year for the rest. And look, I would much rather have a show delayed and have better quality if it's something like Uzumaki. But it really is frustrating that after taking so much time that they just didn't deliver on their promises, but rather baited us in by releasing a single amazing episode than a mediocre follow-up. And when you consider it's only a 4-episode black and white anime, it hurts even more, which is what leads me to believe that they had many behind the scene complications with staff and the like that will likely not be fixed. At best, I could see episode 4 doing well, and in that case, I guess 50% contributes to a pass. I mean, at the end of the day, the production already decided to piece the f out. The atmosphere sucked, the pacing was lackluster, the animation was not even animated. Everything that made the first episode look great had vanished. And there's always going to be people who defend the shows that do this, saying that they're not that bad and we're being too critical. And look, I agree with you on the point that a lot of time people get their britches in a bunch over nothing, but in the cases where there is an objective issue, these things need to be said. I loved episode 1. I'm only saying any of this because I loved episode 1. If there are things you love and they're getting trashed, then why wouldn't you bring the attention to it in hopes that it won't happen again? I really don't care if this video doesn't get a ton of views, or if it does and people try to shit on me. I'm only saying these things because I feel that we're constantly getting robbed of experiences that we're not entitled to necessarily, but definitely deserve more of. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a transaction. These studios are providing entertainment for us, and we as the consumer generate profits for them. So if either side of this exchange is being held unfairly, then there's an issue. If the product we're consuming isn't up to the standard we're being sold on, then as the consumer, we have every right to call it how it is. Like with Blue Lock, there are two sides. One side saying it's terrible, PNG lock, all of that, and then the side that will defend it no matter what, saying people are too critical and it's fine. So far, in my opinion, Season 2 Episode 1 seemed fine. We haven't seen too much yet, and we'll have to wait and see for the rest, but it's also important that we do have some level of reason. If the rest of the season is poorly animated, then having a discussion about it is important, obviously in a sensible manner. And if the animation is decent or good, then fair enough. I was honestly so excited to make a video talking about Uzumaki. I had so many things to say, so many little tidbits I wanted to mention. Like, for example, did you know Uzumaki means spiral? Which is why not only the anime about a spiral curse is called Uzumaki, but also why the Uzumaki clan in Naruto's logo is a spiral. And if you dig deeper, then technically the Hidden Leaf logo is a spiral. Naruto can either refer to a spiral fish cake or Naruseto, an area that is known for roll rolls. So in reality, Naruto Uzumaki is just spiral of the spiral village. And it had so many more cool little things to mention, but unfortunately now it just feels wrong to recommend this anime as something truly amazing. And it truly would have deserved the praise had it been able to maintain at least the soul it had in episode 1. And like I keep mentioning the entire video, all things considered, it's not that bad, but it's also just not fun seeing things like this. It's simply disappointing. Uzumaki went from an 8 to 9 out of 10 to like a 6 or 7 out of 10. It's just unfortunate. If you can get over that dip in quality, you really will enjoy this anime, but if you can't, then honestly I really do recommend using episode 1 as an introduction to the manga, because Junji Ito's Uzumaki is a great manga. The fact that the anime's first episode looked how it did was so promising, and it's truly a shame that we couldn't experience the quality of the first episode the whole way through in a 4-episode anime. Anyways, if you've enjoyed, consider subscribing. Have a nice day. Peace.